Let's see. Select stream, refresh that. Boom. All right. We're live. It's good. All right. We're going to wait for a couple people to join the stream. And we'll talk about the goals. This may be a little shorter of a stream. I started a little late. But yeah, once I can see the concurrent viewers. All right. I still can't see how many people are seeing this stream. Let's see. Can I refresh the page? Oh, I can. Come on, refresh page. Concurrent viewers, 0 views. Not great, but the stream quality is excellent. Excellent. Gosh, that was not even a word that I should have fumbled. All right, for you imaginary viewers out there, today, perfect. How we doing today, Toaster in Space TM? Today, we're going to be working on some UI. 0 viewers. 1 concurrent viewer. Bro, I'm right here. You have to understand, I have a delay. Like the software that OBS, the streaming software I use, like there's probably a minute delay on like the stats I'm seeing. So right now it just said 1 concurrent viewer. I ain't imaginary. You're not imaginary. You're very real. Yo, see? Two viewers. Now it's gonna take another minute to refresh. All right. So today we're gonna be working on basic UI work. Okay? Because it occurred to me that it's gonna be hard to debug flying these planes if you can't work with any UI. UI is pretty important for flight sims. So yeah, that's kind of where we are. My extent of UI experience is pretty limited, I would say. I worked with, I wrote a UI thing for like a Python library. I think it was Pygame a long time ago. Like I manually wrote a UI system for it. So I don't think it should be that, I'm not going to jinx anything. I don't think it should be that insanely hard. The big things we need a way to just display quads on the screen. Text rendering is going to be its own thing. That's going to be tough. I've done that like 2 times before. Are you going to use ImGUI? For debugging, yes, but not for the actual in-game UI. I think ImGUI, this is another hot take, I think ImGUI looks kind of gross when you're using it in a game. Like if you actually have ImGUI and it's not for debug purposes, I feel like it just comes off as sort of less professional. Not implying that I'm professional at all, but I don't know. I think actual in-game UI should be done through like your own system or something different from ImGUI. But I will probably have ImGUI integrated for like, maybe we add ImGUI today. That's actually probably pretty important. Oh, OpenGL Game Engine Live. Let's see. I think that might be a good idea. Let's quickly, you'll get a kind of behind the scenes as to how I add things. ImGUI GitHub. All right. I agree. That looks very stripped. It does. But it's an actual, I love ImGUI. Like, I do think it's incredibly awesome at what it does. Let's see. ImGUI.h. Okay, so let's see, git clone. We'll copy that there. All right. Now, ImGUI doesn't have CMake integration out of the box. So we do have to like manually add some of this. But all of the only real like stuff we have to include, I think, is just actually, I wonder if there's an ImGUI CMake generator. Let's quickly check. ImGUI CMake generator. That would be really helpful. CMake GUI. Oh! CMake cross-platform module for ImGUI as a library. That's awesome. Maybe that's what we do. Okay, we'll do that. What did I just delete? Does it still build? Oh, maybe not. All right, well, we'll just try this new thing out. I haven't tried this before. I should probably close my Notion page. That's for... I hate CMake so much. I understand the hate. I've just gotten used to... Hey, what's up, man? I've just gotten used to using it, if that makes sense. But yes, it is a very valid, like, critique. I don't need to CD into that. I've heard pre-make's good, but I'll be honest, I think Lua... This is another hot take from her. I think Lua is a disgusting language. I don't like the fact that you have to write end after every line. It's like the definition of a scripting language. You can't... I have a hard time reading Lua code and not seeing Roblox. Desperately need a better build system. Yes, we do need a better build system. Stockholm Syndrome. Yeah, I would agree. That probably is Stockholm Syndrome, actually. I've fallen in love with my captor. Yeah, CMake. Let's see. All right, add... But you know what? You do start to, like... I will fully admit, I have to, like, Google how to do certain things in CMake repeatedly, just because there's so many things you can do. I hate plain makefile. You just use plain makefile. Impressive. I'll be honest. I have never used a plain makefile. I just started with CMake, and slowly it kind of started to make sense. But yeah, this is I'm GUI. Although add, let's see, what is this called? Reject CMake is Valve project creator. Add library project name. Oh, so it is just project. All right, I'm GUI. It's literally just called I'm GUI. Okay, this should be pretty easy to add. Actually, I will definitely be coming back to this GitHub page in the future. Oh. Still building. Oh, no. Wait. What the? That's a stupid error. Where's the comma? Oh, by the way, off stream last night, I literally just copy and pasted the code, some like the terrain generation code from my last project into this, and the indices are totally screwed up. So when I run this, you're gonna see a pretty cursed mesh. Terrain.cpp line 29. Yeah, what the heck? Let's see, that should be better. Cast finished successfully. All right, and then we'll build it for web as well. The web build actually has much better debug, like text. Although it seems to be verbose right now. I don't know why. Oh, I'm gonna get all of the warnings for the I'm GUI. I really don't want that every time I build. Nah, it's okay, I guess. Let's see. Load. I kind of just want to try Meson. I've never heard of that, actually. I've never heard of Meson. Mason? Maybe that's how you pronounce it? Uh-oh. Oh, no. Unable to find... Did I get the same problem here? Oh, no. It builds for... It builds for everything except... Let's see. Find package, I'm GUI config, I'm GUI, target link libraries. Is there like an CMake project, set I'm GUI dir, list append. Okay. I thought this would be easier, but I guess not. I guess we have to open up 2 pages now. Okay. Set I'm GUI. Oh my gosh. I don't know. You know what? I like Zed a lot, but I think there's times when I realize that it's a very new IDE. I'm GUI. What the? Like that keybind. That's not something I'm used to. Just vendor I'm GUI. Make I'm GUI. All right, and then list append. Oh my gosh, append CMake prefix path and I'm GUI dir. Let's see if this fixes anything. You shouldn't have to do that actually for the only for the Emscripten setup, because that's the one we're trying to fix. Everything else seems to work just fine. I shouldn't need to do find package. Find package I'm GUI. maybe we do have to do that. Maybe we have to do the find package thing. Find package. We have to enable that. I don't even think I've enabled find package, but we'll see if that works. GUI config required. Are you on Windows or Linux? I am on Windows, but just to be clear, I've spent 2 years in Linux. There was a time when my PC got completely bricked, and the only way I could get it to run was by installing Linux. So there was a period where I was, yeah, Windows 11. I am on Windows 11. I know. Look, the way I see it, you have to adapt to the unfortunate. What? I'm GUI. I'm GUI. You know what? I honestly think I might just do this manually. Screw this. I appreciate I'm GUI CMake. I think it's great from my 30 seconds of using it, but I think off the bat, it would just be better if I use something I'm more familiar with, because I have done this before. In fact, speaking of which, I have done this before, which means there should be some GitHub stuff. How's that React Native start menu going? Oh gosh, I know exactly what you're talking about, and it you know what? We're gonna slow down my computer. We're just gonna spam this. Let's open Task Manager. Let's see. Performance, CPU usage. Yeah, developing C++ Windows is an absolute pain in the... Yeah, it's true. Okay, let's get that CPU to spike. Come on. And you can watch this in real time. Oh. Not seeing anything. Maybe they've done some optimizations. Because I remember I did that on my laptop and I got my frame rate to drop to like 5. Which is a sad truth. But honestly, I think I think the goal here would be yeah, we'll use the previous example project. What did I have? I think it was in submod. No, was it submodules? Yeah, it was I'm GUI, submodules. No man, even this really, it's bad performance. It feels, I didn't feel any difference, if that makes sense, on my computer, but I'll take your word for it. File grab. I had to manually add a bunch of stuff. Did that on my work laptop? So yeah, I did that on my my laptop, and I saw the same thing. I learned that actually from a friend at a, not at work, but at like a summer thing that I work for, and he was like, "Dude, did you know that Windows 11 the main menu is a React native app?" Yeah, that's just crazy to me. I cannot believe. Why did I write add executable? I know what I'm doing. Man, I can't do 2 things at once. Add executable. What was it? Yeah, we have to manually add what? These things. So we'll do vendor. I'm GUI. Backends. I'm GUI. What was it? Impl. GLFW. .cpp. My concern. What IDE am I using? I'm using Zed. And loving it so far. I'll just copy all this, and for the sake of conformity, we're gonna add these double quotes here. But yeah, Zed IDE I'm using so far. It's pretty fast. Written in Rust. Big fan of Rust, although I should use it more. I don't think I can claim to be a big fan of Rust if I don't use it a respectable amount of times. Let's see. And then target include directories. That's what it was. Vendor / what did I do? I'm GUI. I keep a Linux distro on my dual boot system just so I can code in season. Yeah, it's true. Better than Visual Studio? I think it's better than Visual Studio. But I have been a Visual Studio hater for a very long time. Not because it did anything wrong to me, but I kind of felt the speed difference, if that makes sense. Like, I could always kind of tell that Visual Studio was a React Native app. Was it React Native or was it, I'm sorry, it was a different framework. It was Electron. And after using that, I don't know. I always I did tend towards the heavier weight IDEs, like Visual Studio. Lemon, did you ever try the client? Yes, I did. That was my go-to until Zed. Yes, I love Sea Lion. I love all of the JetBrains stuff. The single best part about being a student is not getting an education, but is the JetBrains student access that you get. Electron is painful. It is painful. I would agree. I also love the fact that this company that made Zed, they made an entire Rust GUI framework, and it's now completely open source and anyone can use it. That's very cool to me. I would love to use it. I actually did try to use it. It's like a full application framework. Undefined reference. That's not good. What did I miss here? File. Oh, I'm stupid. Yep. We need to add vendor / I'm GUI / star.cpp. I'm embarrassed by how many things I have to go back to previous projects to figure out how the heck I did something. There's that imposter syndrome right there. All right. Okay. Why'd that? Imagine developing GUI applications in Rust. You'd be surprised, man. There's actually an entire Rust framework for like website development and like just specifically for the web. They have, I think it's called RSX, not the framework. They have a markup language that lets you write Rust code that looks more, it's kind of like how you can write JSX code in React, and it's just JavaScript code that looks kind of like HTML, and it makes it's markup code in JavaScript. There is markup code in React in this framework, and I see the appeal. Rust is a really cool language. It becomes a miserable. It's true. The fighting with the compiler can get frustrating, but you know, at the same time, like, you know, your code runs when it compiles, and that's a big. In terms of making like industry first applications, yes, it's incredibly helpful. But you know, for people like me who are making some app that is just kind of like a demo to get me hired one day, you know, it's tough. It's definitely tough. Here I'm GUI. What's this? I'm GUI, Impul, Vulkan. I remember I ran into this error a while back. I'm including more than I need. SDL, yeah, I don't need any of that. Impul render 3. And this is for the desktop build. Honestly, this is something I do. I build it in web just so I can see the cleaner like debug stuff. Subdirectory called with incorrect arguments. For applications where you want fast typing that team, it doesn't work. I wouldn't go so far to say it doesn't work, but I understand the, man, I'm just writing the worst. I understand exactly why people say it doesn't work. I think if you are like a cracked Rust developer and you like live, eat, sleep, and breathe Rust, you could probably make it work. But like, you need to be pretty darn good to get it to work. I coded a small roguelike game using Raylib Rust once. It was bad. I did try using Raylib with Rust. I also quit very quickly. Raylib is a C library. It is not. I would say it's kind of like an unholy mix to mix that with Rust. I'm glad they did it. I love Raylib, but it's not as fun as working with C or C++. Cannot specify include directory which is not built by this project. I'm so stupid. I just can't do two things at once, man. Like, if I'm talking, my brain shuts off. Which modules, subjects do you do at college? I'm a computer science major, and we use C. Although I transferred schools, and my old school used Python. It was not I would not call it the best in that regard. In fact, none of my transfer credits actually transferred, so I had to take a bunch of intro classes again, which was painful, I will admit. Let's see, allegro.h. Why do I have... Okay, so this is a different error. What's different here? I think I only wrote this, I think I only added this to the web. No, I did that right. Okay, I added all these things. That's right, too. Glad.c, stb image. Oh, we need stb image. I shouldn't just put that in. We'll need that later once I have images being used. Okay, so I'm GUI, Impul, all of these different things. I don't think we need all of those. Let's see, target. Man, Allegro 5, Allegro.h, fatal error, file not found. Leaving directory. This is weird. I don't remember this happening last time I built MGUI. Maybe this is something to do with Emscripten. I'll just worry about the desktop stuff for now, because that's what I'm more familiar with. STL.age. Have you ever tried Bevy? It's native to Rust. I have tried Bevy. I think Bevy's cool. I think it's cool. I just gave up. I did, and my first compile took 10 minutes. It didn't take me 10 minutes. The compile times with Rust have never been my gripe with it. But I think Bevy's cool. I've seen some really awesome projects made with it. I find it funny that they're trying to be an industry level game engine, and yet they have no editor or like IDE. Sorry. Yeah, editor, not IDE. Gosh, that's not the same thing at all. Okay. Whoever's spamming the heart, thank you. SDL, no such file or directory. See, I don't need all of these files. I think there's something going on. I remember this before. It's building more files than it needs to. Submodules, I'm GUI. Let's see, VP. Is this the include issue, or is it I don't like coding with engine editors, lol. You know, I appreciate them for what they are. I also like building my own engine though. But admittedly, it takes a lot longer to make things when you're building your own engine. And there's a lot of other stuff you have to worry about. I like worrying about the other stuff. That's like, I like software. I started making games. That was actually like how I got started. I started in 6th grade making video games. I started with Godot before it was cool, before it was popular. Back when they had the old scripting language, which is very much the same thing as the new one, but there's little differences, like the @ symbol was never used. And yeah, I made Godot. I made with Godot, and then I switched to Unity. C# was much nicer to work with, but I always was more interested in like making the systems in the game. My least favorite thing was making art. To this day, my least favorite thing is making art. I'm more interested in like, I'll obsess on making a system that generates procedural terrain, and I could care less about gameplay. And that's kind of where I land. I also don't play enough video games anymore. That's just a sad reality. I think part of making games is playing games all the time, and I don't. I wish I did a little more, but I just don't. Let's see, what is going on? This is backends. I don't need all of Oh, it's because we're using glob recurse, aren't we? That's the problem. Yeah, we don't need that. I'm GUI source. Okay. File. We'll just say glob, and this will be I'm GUI. src configure depends. Yeah, we're including way more stuff than we need. That's the problem. And then in here we have to add what was that? Source. I'm GUI. See, my current project is traditional roguelike game using plain HTML and TypeScript. Good on you, man. Web games are awesome. I'm a big fan of them. Put them on TypeScript engine for grid-based games. That's neat. I will admit, JavaScript and TypeScript make me mad when I work with them. I have to take like a break. And I appreciate what TypeScript, like the problem TypeScript solves, but man, like it just does not behave the way I like it. I wish it did, if that makes sense. Also, like I'm coming from a desktop development background in this, so all of that just quickly frustrates me. I'm GUI impl SDL3. I'm not including any of that. Let's see. Did I remove it from the desktop stuff? I didn't. Yeah, there's a problem. Okay, and now if we build, let's see if this works. That's much less, that's not much less errors actually. Maybe we'll just reconfigure, build. Why? Okay, this is Emscripten version. This is the desktop version. For some reason I must have pressed Control V or something. All right, build this time. That looks better. Let's see, that looks much better actually. Did it finish successfully? Perfect. We'll build the web version too. Okay. Load, 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 load. Come on. Linking. Okay. Why is it linking at 55% build? That feels wrong. Nope. Nope, it worked. If I run... Yeah, okay, here's the, the terrain code that I copied from another project. By the way, I did, while off stream, I also switched the rotation systems. The big problem we were facing yesterday was the jet would freak out. I think part of that was because all of my rotations were being done in world space. Because of the rotation, like in the transform struct, I'll show you. In the transform struct, rotations were just like let's see. I hate CMake. You're the second person to hate CMake. Let me tell you what, doing a web app in C# with Blazor is surprisingly nice, but it'll never become the standard because it lacks sheer momentum. Yeah. I really, I actually, a language that I liked that I never hear anything about? Dart. I liked Dart. It was very slow. I tried to make a game from scratch, like a desktop thing with it. Didn't fit my use case, but I liked it infinitely more than JavaScript. If that became the default, browser scripting language, oh, dude, I'd be so happy. Transform. But yeah, so now rotations are a quaternion. Yesterday, they were just a vectory, which lets me do cool stuff like this, actually. All rotations with the jet are lurked. Now, it also means I can, not break, but the jet rotation, I can actually, shimmy it. Watch. Boom. Release. I can make it, rotate. Look, see? It's not always going back to its origin position. Dart is so good. I love it. I love Dart, too. Look at that. See? We can make the jet dance. That actually works surprisingly well. That's a thumbnail coming up in the future. I'm just spamming QWE release. QWE release. But yeah, that's where we're at so far. It looks like we built, so we can probably get the demo window for ImGUI. If we can get the demo window up and running, I'll be happy. And then we'll start working on our UI. I'm sorry, I have not written any code. I've just been talking. I just like talking so much. Okay, let's see. Let's include ImGUI. This is within InScript, and we don't need that. Hashtag include ImGUI.h. Okay, and then there should be the demo window. ImGUI begin. What is it? Well, I don't use ImGUI enough to know all this by heart. What was that initial command I have to run? Let's see, ImGUI demo window. Demo.cpp. Yep. I don't need all of this boilerplate. What the? Dude, I don't need that. All right, what's that? ImGUI show demo. That's not what I meant. I think there's an ImGUI begin draw, something. It's immediate mode. What was that immediate mode? ImGUI begin, that's for Windows. Script. We'll just look at an example they have in here. Examples, OpenG, I don't need Apple. I just want GLFW, OpenG, DLFW, OpenGL3, main.cpp. And then let's just, what was that initial command? GLFW, ImGUI create contacts. We have to do that first. Are you working on Ace Combat game? I'm working on a browser-based, it's cool. Yeah, I'm working on a browser-based multiplayer game. So I want, if you've ever played Krunker.io, Airmash.io, Wings.io, 1v1.lol. These are all browser online games, and I want to make a browser online game where you can basically invite a friend and 1v1 him in initially it will be exclusively 1v1s, but I would like there to be 16-player lobbies. Think of it like really crappy War Thunder in the browser, and I just remove all of the ground-based stuff and it's purely just dogfighting. I think I could do it. I think I can do it. I hope I can do it. I've started live streaming it. I've kind of committed to something here, haven't I? Great context. Yep. And then, what is it? We don't need any of that style stuff. ImGUI impl GLFW. What was it? Init for OpenGL. I really hope that this works with, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm really hoping that this works for, what is it? Is it window manager, primary window, dot, and then because I don't have any of the auto command complete stuff filled or set up yet, yeah, dot window. That's a GLW window. And then we don't need any callbacks, I don't think. Knit for OpenGL, bool. Sure, we'll have true. Let's just build, make sure that works so far. Yeah, it worked. Actually, we're gonna need that differently depending on whether we're in Emscripten or not. So actually, maybe this would go here, and then we'd say, we need that beforehand. So this, and then for here would be I'm GUI. What was it? Info OpenGL 3. 3 init. Or maybe that's... Oh, there's an Emscripten version. That's perfect. That's even better. And then if it's not Emscripten, and then this goes up here, and then we'll just initialize the GLSL stuff here. All right, and GLSL version, what are we using? We'll use 330. Let's see if that works. Build here. That's not working. OpenGL init is not, it doesn't exist. GLSL version. Is that maybe not a string or something? GLSL version. Where did he define that? Define GLSL version, hashtag version. That's firstly something we need to fix. And we'll just do 100. Let's just not break it. Oh my gosh. MGL, OpenL3, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Yeah. Just making sure we get that right. Hashtag version 100. That's not going to work. We know that. But we'll build the web too and see if that works. And then we'll get that demo window opening, and I'm GUI should be all completely set up. Yeah, we'll just show demo window permanently. That's not working. Oh, I'm stupid. We need the GLSFW window. So that would be window manager primary window. There we go. And then hashtag canvas. I think that's correct. We'll do that. Ooh, it's linking. That's a good sign. And these are all of the initialization stuff we need. So we'll just go here. Let's say stop. I don't want that. All right. New frame. I'm GUI impl new frame. Is there any sort of special stuff that we need for like show demo window? We'll just say true. We don't even need a show demo window, but we'll just null pointer. And then what was it? I'm GUI render. We have to render at the end. And then what was it? Swap buffers. We already have that. Impl draw data. Yeah, this should be it, I think, if we did this all correctly. Although I never am confident in that. Every time I say it should be it, it's not it. I'm GUI OpenGL 3 render draw data. So we're not using OpenGL 3. That's my... I'm so sorry, guys. I'm GUI GLFW OpenGL 2. I believe this was the like, yeah, that looks better. That actually auto-completed. And we auto-completed with something. I'm GUI get draw data. You know, boom. Boom. Let's see. Please work. I'm GUI-GL3. Oh my gosh. Where did that go? All right. And where did that southern accent come from? I'm not from Texas. I'm GUI OpenGL 3 init. Maybe that's not in the OpenGL 2 version. Let's see. Initializing looks a lot more basic than this. And then we'll have the I'm GUI shutdown stuff later. OpenGL 2 init. We don't need a shader version for this. There's the issue. All right. Finished with non-zero code. Is that a linker error? Render draw data. That's not... Well, maybe it's just for the web stuff. We'll fix the web stuff after we get this desktop stuff working, which also isn't working. Web dogfight. Let me first run... Gosh, what is going on? Glob CMake, web dogfight, undefined reference, draw data. That's so weird. What are we including here? Maybe it's I'm GUI.h, I'm GUI impl GLW, GL2. Where are all the GLFW stuff? I'm GUI, GLFW. That shouldn't be happening unless we're... Wait a minute. OpenGL. This is frustrating. How did I do this in the last one? My last project had OpenGL, but I was using OpenGL 3. So maybe it's a little different when you're using OpenGL ES. Let's see, main applications. Was it in the main loop? No, it was debug layer. That's where it was. Debug layer.cpp. Initializing. So we got to check ImGUI version. This is going to dirty up the main file so much. All of that stuff should be good. ImGUI create context. We got that. We don't need any of those just yet. ImGUI impl for OpenGL. Or GLFW rather. And then ImGUI OpenGL 2 init. That's the difference. Okay. So what's the problem here? Is it the fact that we've got this in Emscripten? This is very frustrating. Maybe I shouldn't have tried doing that on stream. OpenGL, GLFW. See, this one had the Emscripten bindings, but it's using OpenGL 3. I didn't think OpenGL 3 was used with Emscripten. Silence, define OpenGL S2. Emscripten, main loop sub. Example can also compile with Emscripten. See makefile.emscripten for details. Okay. Maybe there's an Emscripten thing here with ImGUI. Like special Emscripten stuff. ImGUI, that's the CMake version. ImGUI, miscellaneous, examples, docs, backends. Is there something with Emscripten? It doesn't look like it. So maybe I'm just crazy. Maybe I'm losing it. I will be shortly. I don't know why it's not building it all though. Oh, that's also because I'm realizing I probably did OpenGL. Yeah, that was the problem. I'm not using OpenGL 3. Although, build that, build here, and then OpenGL2.cpp, undefined reference. Maybe there's something here with... That's really frustrating. There's backends. OpenGL2.h.cpp. Well, why not? We're not going to just include both of them. That would be stupid. For some reason, let's undo our main file. We're going to get rid of all of that bogus. We're just going to go back to where we were. I'm going to start from scratch and just think about what we're doing. First, let's see if this builds properly. It didn't build. So including OpenGL 2 breaks things, which is frustrating. So let's just go back to 3, make sure this is correct, build that, build that. That's not working. What the hell changed? Okay, it finished successfully. That doesn't look successful, but let's just build it again and see. Yeah, okay, that worked. So working with OpenGL 3 works just fine. I left OpenGL 2 in the web version. We'll see if that changes anything. That finished successfully too. So actually these did work. So OpenGL 2 works. That did not work. So OpenGL 2 does not work for the desktop version. But that's just gonna drive me crazy. So are we gonna have to maintain 2 different versions of OpenGL with this? Like with the ImGUI implementation? Dude. Okay. I'm just gonna leave this at 3. And we're gonna start working on our own UI solution because you guys did not come here to watch me fight with CMake. Just make sure everything builds, and then we're going to start writing our own UI. I will figure out ImGUI later. Okay. Yeah. Yep, that works. Although, where'd the terrain go? Hold on. What the? If I run the desktop version, the terrain is there. So that should... And one of the keybinds that I have that's very close to the one I have in Z closes my project. How fun is that? All right. We're going to build for web. That works. We're going to run on the web. And the terrain is invisible. Why? That's a big freaking deal. Maybe it's Control-Shift-W. Maybe there's a CMake thing that we need to reconfigure. Do that. Do that. Oh, that's not good. Why is the terrain not there for the web version? That doesn't make any sense. It should have been there yesterday. Did we build for web successfully? We did. That should work. Keep it up, bro. I'm working on it, man. I want this to work. Okay. Maybe that. There we go. That's the desktop version. That's not the web version. I'm just stupid. Okay, so that's a big freaking deal. You know what? That's a problem for tomorrow. We're going to start making that UI. Okay. So firstly, UI, we're going to need to get rid of all of our camera stuff. Actually, we'll keep the transformation matrices. We're not going to need any of that. We're not going to need any of that. We're not going to need that. We're only going to need a UV. Although, we'll keep the normal being passed in because of just how we store vertex data. And then we'll just pass in its world position. Although this is going to be in screen space. So this should not be called world position. This should be screen position. And then rotation, we don't need normals. We can get rid of that. We're not passing normals anywhere else. And we're just going to have this be a red cube for now. And then after that, we should be able to properly... Okay, so that's the first thing. Second thing, where do we want UI handled? UI typically, like, do we want that in the scene? Do we want like a UI layer within the scene? Will UI change from scene to scene? Yeah, it will. So it probably should be stored in the scene. Okay, so maybe, can you accept open source contributions for this game? I haven't considered that actually. I mean, that'd be cool. I'll have to think about that. I don't know the risks associated with that because I do want this game to be something that can be played. You're free to clone the source code and play around with it. I'm not sure you'll be able to understand a lot of it. A lot of it's not great. But yeah, feel free to play around with it. If this works, it would be cool to maybe like get a, I don't know, maybe a Discord at some point. We're like really early on into development with this. I say we, it's just me. Okay, so we should get like a UI layer. UI layer. And then every scene will have a UI layer. UI layer. I made this type of game before. You have? That's sick, dude. That actually would be very helpful. If you have made a C++ game using OpenGLES and WebAssembly and you've got experience with that, seriously, download the source code, run it. That'd be awesome. Let's see. Scene manager.hpp. UI. Yeah. Okay. And then UI should contain, like, there should be UI entities. What will those be called? We'll call them widgets. Widget. And every widget can have a parent widget, which will just be a pointer parent. And then this needs to be public. And then what else? Every parent will have a parent widget. Every widget will have a parent widget, and then they will have a mesh as well. Although the mesh, I'm thinking maybe all UI. Here's the other thing. UI, do we want to do all of the work in the shader, or do we want to do all of the work in the like the C++ side of things? Doing all the work in the shader is nice because it gives you some creative freedom. Although I think that there's some like OpenGLES has some limitations with shader stuff. Actually, but I think the best thing we can do is just make every UI element a quad. And then if we want to draw like a circle or a rectangle or stuff like that, we just apply a different shader. I think that's probably the best way to do this, which means we need a mesh. We'll call this quad. And then we'll have a shader. Oh my gosh, dude. Okay. And then every time you create a widget. So firstly, this should be what? Equals, we need to create quad method. That's the other thing we're gonna need. Let's see. Create cube. We have a cube method, so I'll just do it right below that. Create. No, dude, you're not disturbing. Yeah, I'm a student. I'm what? I'm a sophomore, but I've been doing this for since like early high school, I'd say. Yeah, but this is all, I'm pretty much entirely self-taught, and that shows. But yeah, and I think actually we should just be able to copy the front face to be vector vertex vertices equals, okay, that. And because this face is extended in what direction? Yeah, we just need that to be 0. And then, okay, those should all just work. The UVs and the normals. Normals doesn't matter at all. We don't need normals for these. And then, yeah, front face. We'll just copy that. We already did all this work earlier. Rather, Claude did that work. I did not write the manual vertices for the cube. I don't visualize things that way, or at least to that level. And then what else? Yeah, and we'll copy all of our buffer generation code as well. We don't need that to be redone. And then that should just give us our quad. Let's see, equals graphics. We need to include that. Graphics backend manager, or I think it was graphics backend. Create quad. Okay, and then shader. For now, we'll just use UI. We'll say graphics create shader resources / shaders / UI.glsl. Okay, we'll build that. We also need to make sure that that's correct. Come on, reconfigure, build, and then okay, widgets are gonna have a bunch of methods, void load resources. Actually, we should do everything on the load resources method. Sorry, initialize void update for any logic program. Draw void unload resources, and then our UI layer will just contain a list. Actually, do we need a UI layer, or can we literally just manage this from within inside the scene? If we're in the scene and we have a UI layer, we're already just handling entities this way. Why would we need a UI layer? We aren't doing any like post-processing on all the UI. UIs are just widgets that exist in a different space. They behave like the same as entities in that regard. Okay, we won't add a UI layer just yet. We don't need that. And in the scene, we'll just have a bunch of shared pointers to widget. So we'll call this UI. All right, and then on all of this stuff. Oh, we also should have some way to identify stuff. So every widget will have a public name. That'll be const. We can't change that. And then what? ID. We don't really need either of those just yet, but I'm sure we will. And we can probably just do something like this. Get UI widget. Actually, we don't need to just call it UI. Like a widget is a widget. We don't need to call them UI widgets. No one's gonna mistake that for like something else. What was it? Get widget by name for widget W and widgets, and then if widget.name is equal to name, return widget. And then we'll just copy this and call it ID. Get by ID. Const int ID. ID. And then ID. All right. That should work. Didn't, because we probably made some sort of stupid mistake. Indices.size. Oh, it's in here. What did we do wrong here? Inside int indices. Expected. Yeah, there we go. That's stupid of me. I'm struggling from not having the proper C++ integration set up with Z. But it finished successfully, so that's good. And then on every frame, we'll have our stuff for like all of the widgets. Widget dot no dot load resource, and then we'll just have all of our methods for the widgets added, and then they'll all handle their own resources and handle their own state. Unload, and then draw, and then update, and then initialize, and what else? Okay, build that. That works pretty well. And it didn't work. What did we do wrong? There's a syntax error in here somewhere. Oh, please don't be some sort of circular include. I've fought with circular unload resources. Let's see. Undefined reference to widget unload resources. It's there. That's not good. We shouldn't be having any undefined references. Widget initialize, widget load resources. So all of these methods just don't exist for some reason. Why? We have widgets here. That's correct. Where shared pointer reference. That probably should be kept. Please work. Failed. Why did it fail? Is this a circular include of some sort? Entity, widget. What are we including in widgets? Graphics backend. This shouldn't cause any problems. Let's see. Maybe there's something further up. Maybe we need to reglob everything. What is going on here? I mean, undefined reference, widget update. Void update. It's there. What did the entity class look like? We don't need any of that. Maybe it's just because we haven't defined it. I'm stupid. Widget. I'll just call it UI. And then widget. We don't even need to do this here. We'll do this later. No, we do need to do it here. Load resources. That's a void. And then void widget. What was it? Initialize. Void widget. Update. Void widget. Draw. Void widget. Unload resources. All right, and then that should build. Yeah, that worked. Sorry about that. And then we also need a constructor. All widgets are going to have to take in name, const int ID, and then we'll just name ID, and that'll be that. And then if we're going to get an error, we need to go back here. Actually, no, we should be fine. We aren't adding any widgets yet. That worked. And then in the test scene, we're gonna push back widget, and we'll call this UI test widget. And we don't actually need to give it an ID because IDs are just random integers. We don't need any manual stuff there, so we can just get rid of that. All right, that should work. What else? Yeah, that built. But these aren't going to actually get drawn just yet, I don't think, because we don't have any. Yeah, we don't have any drawing logic. We should move this. All of this should definitely be moved into the load resources method. All resource handling should be handled there. Load resources. We'll just quad shader. We don't really need any of that. Update. We don't really have anything there. Begin draw. Let's see. What was it? Graphics backend. Begin draw mesh. Mesh. Well, quad. Shader. We have scene manager. Active camera. And then these do all need a transform. And that'll just be a default transform. We don't need anything special there. We'll just call it transform. And then we don't, let's see, end draw mesh quad. That should draw the UI properly, I would think. But I've been wrong many times. Nope. We got it right first try. There we go. Okay. So we've got that done. Although I did notice that oh, we're gonna need one more thing actually. We are gonna need the projection, because we're gonna need yeah, we're gonna need that. We need the camera to rather. Oh, maybe you don't need projection. How did I fix that last time? What? View projection is. We're gonna need orthographic projection. That's the other thing. Crud. That's not fun. Okay. We'll get our camera orthographic projection sorted out. Let's see. Get project GLM map for get UI orthographic matrix constant. And then it should just be GLM ortho. What does ortho take in? Left, right, bottom, top. Yep. And for that, we will we'll take our screen position. So window manager. I probably don't want window included. Oh no, that's in the same header file. Window manager, window, sorry, primary window width, and we want this divide by 2, and we want it to be subtracted by. Oh, let me think. Do we want our initial position? Yeah. No, that doesn't determine that. Sorry, I'm talking out loud right now. There, that'll be that. What was it? Left, right, bottom, top. Okay, and then right will just be the same thing minus that. Bottom will be height, and then top will be that with height there. And then hypothetically that should work, although it didn't. Can you tell me your GitHub profile name? Sure, dude. It's in the. I think it should be in the description of this video. Let me quickly pull up my stream and make sure. I hope I don't make like a feedback loop by opening my own stream. It's possible. Let's see. I'm watching my own stream. Let's see. Is it in it? Yeah, the GitHub's in the video description. Let's see. Video redacted. Let's see. Are you message redacted? Don't worry, dude. Don't worry. No judgment here on that at all. I've made mistakes on stream. Let's see. Height. Primary window is not a. Like, there's a stupid mistake right there. Naming. Man, I don't know if it's just me being like a bad programmer or something, but I gotta say, my dependency on autocomplete is honestly sad sometimes. Let's see, camera. Like, truly, I'm struggling so greatly because I misspelled something. Please tell me I didn't misspell something. No, I didn't misspell anything. Let's see. Primary is not a member of Window Manager. That's not true. It is, right? Window Manager, primary window. And then that just goes to window, and window has width and height. That should work. Why is it not working? We have window.hpp, although no? That's really weird. Is it something we included somewhere? It's got to be an include here. Let's see. Run a build. That should work. Okay, we'll just copy all this code. Keep it up. Thanks, man. I'm working on it. I'm trying. Okay, let's see. And then we're going to just undo everything. Back when everything worked. We're going to paste this, and we're just going to include only what is necessary to get this to work. Window.hpp. Nope, that's definitely the issue. So including Window Manager in here breaks everything. That's not fun. Maybe. No, that's not good. That's not good. If there's one thing I hate, it's circular includes of any kind. They are frustrating. Maybe it's because of OpenGL being included. 100%. Maybe hashtag define GLFW include none. Maybe that will fix it. What are we including in window that's causing this? Backend HPC GLFW none. That's already working there. I don't want to hard code numbers to get things to work because that always comes back to bite you at some point. But actually, no. Wait a minute. Let me just think about this for a minute. Because our UI right now is being stretched because we don't have any sort of projections sorted out. How do we sort this out? Files, window. That's a problem. Maybe it's in. No, it's not that. Backend is already included in here somewhere, probably. No. Backend includes types. That's the problem. Why are we calling any backend stuff in here? We don't need backend, do we? Glide proc address. Oh, that's it. We don't need backend in here. We need this. And then we should be able to include it, I think. Nope. Wait. So including window breaks everything. What if we remove this completely? What if we just... Because the backend includes types. That's frustrating. Is there something wrong with... Let's see. Shared pointer window. STD does not name a template type. What is going on here? This is kind of bogus. Oh, man, that's annoying. Window manager. Yeah, that's our problem there. So, why did I... Okay. You know what? Screw it. For now, we're going to hard code things. I know I said I wouldn't. But we're going to have to do that for now. No, because then if we resize the window at all, this all breaks. That's a pretty big issue. I don't want that to happen. But we need to first see if our UI even works. That's the first thing. And I think it was 1000 for the height. Right? Is that correct? Window. Yeah, that's correct. Height is going to work. Yep. It's unfortunate that it works in some ways. Yeah. So that works. And then UI, what? I think in the draw mesh method, we're automatically uploading something for... Yeah, begin draw mesh, graphics backend, upload Map 4 shader, and we'll say scene manager active camera dot get orthograph. Yep, and then the that's the variable here, and then the name I believe is just U projection. That should work, I think. Nope, I just did that backwards. Take that, throw it there, boom. That should work. It didn't work. Interesting. Get UI orthograph matrix. What if we just made this a cube? Maybe that. Okay, bro. Keep it up. I'm going to sleep. Night, bro. Let's see. Peace. What the heck? So it just looks like maybe this is it's gotta be something with, oh, I feel stupid. It's like the 5th time I felt stupid on this. Okay. That's not ideal, but the issue is probably that we're handling this wrong, maybe. Take that. Okay, so it's invisible now, probably because this U projection matrix is just is like not being filled, which shouldn't be the case. If I was to say perspective, I think, no, I didn't handle any UI in there, did I? There. No, bro, I'm still there, don't worry. Thanks. Let's see, how does this... Oh. Sorry, I couldn't resist. Projection, screen position, doesn't exactly work out the best. Maybe I'm multiplying these wrong. I haven't taken linear algebra, if y'all can't tell. Probably, I've just been kind of figuring it out as I go. The projection should just be orthographic projection. Maybe it's because the camera's on top of like where we are. Maybe if I just set the transform.position.z to be in front of us, maybe that fixes everything. I've had that kind of thing happen before. Still invisible. Let's just make sure we're actually getting something populated here. Actually, we can test this pretty easily. We'll just return identity on map 4, just to make sure there's nothing wrong with our like shader side stuff, because this should just keep things as they are. And hold on, that didn't finish building, I don't think. No, okay, that's not good, because if we're returning the identity matrix, nothing should be happening. It should be totally fine, but for some reason it's not, which is really weird. I'm gonna get rid of that. We're gonna keep that, and then in the UI.glsl, we're gonna remove this temporarily and just get everything kind of set back to when it worked. Yeah, that works. UI screen projection build. There. That works. Okay. So we're uploading the matrix, right? Let me just make sure that this doesn't break anything, because we might be moving it the wrong direction too. That's another possibility. We'll build that. Ah, we are moving it the wrong direction. So maybe this thing was working. Are you kidding me? Build that, run that. There, yeah, that should work. Okay. So we've got that working correctly. We'll remove this. This should solve our problem. you should get orthographic projection. It didn't. That's really frustrating. 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. That's wild. Left, right, bottom, top. What? Maybe the square has been shrunk or something. Maybe that could be it. That's so frustrating. We kind of need this to work. Okay. So if I was to just return the perspective with this. So it does work. The problem is that's perspective. So as it gets farther away, that'll cause problems. Maybe we've got the signs flipped. What the hell, dude? Like I mean, I don't know. When did I do orthographic projection last? Okay, I'm gonna do something very dramatic. We're gonna go back to like a project from years and years and years ago. We're gonna go back to Megastrat, a project from like sophomore year in high school. It had, if you look here, I did a basic like thing with my polls where you can see it. I did something with UI, and it worked. So let's see what I did. Let's see. And it was written in Java too. So just so y'all know. Game, what was it? Scene, battlefield.java. There should be a UI here somewhere. Although I might have removed UI. Because I remember oh no, I removed it. I remember I got so sick of making the UI stuff. Probably for similar reasons as I'm facing now. And I just ripped it out of the engine and said we're going to fix this later. Let's see. Creates a matrix between the screen, blah, 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 blah. Maybe it's based on 0. Like the left would be 0, the right would be this, the bottom would be 0, the top would be this. Maybe that's what this is. Because if that's the case, I mean, that would make... I'm not upset. I'm just very, very frustrated. Orthographic camera, OpenGL. We're not specifying all the parameters. Zero 0.01, 100.0f. Maybe that will fix up. But it didn't. OpenGL. What? glm.hpp. Why is this? This is directly what it is. Maybe it's because I'm using ints. But it should implicitly cast ints, so that's probably not it. Which is utter bogus, but okay, let's see. Are you kidding me? To create an orthographic projection, we use GLM ortho. Yeah, that's what I'm using. And we're specifying the window width and height. Like that's entirely correct. Maybe it's all working and our camera's just our mesh is just literally off screen. It's always a possibility. I mean, let's see. Create quad, what? probably it, actually. I know if... Although that shouldn't... That shouldn't do what it's doing. I know this probably won't fix anything. If anything, it'll make me more confused, but we gotta try all of our options. I'm actually really frustrated about this. Are you kidding me? So it's just... So our projection is just wrong somewhere. Somewhere we're doing this entirely wrong. That's not what it is, because this is directly from the GL, Learn OpenGL. Maybe perspective. No, that's correct. Orthographic. Let's see. Projection, view, model, local. Already doing that. And we already know that this works because when we use perspective, it works. So it's nothing to do... This is... I'm so serious. This is driving me completely insane. Maybe now the projection is flipped and we have to make the Z positive. That's entirely possible. Where did the stinking quad go? I mean, I don't... I have not been this frustrated in a while. This should be, like, incredibly easy to do. You're witnessing a crash out live on stream. Let's see. Could it be that the quad is like the size of a pixel now or something? There we go. We got it. We got it. And that's mildly concerning that it took this long. Although, this should take up like half the screen. So now something else is broken. Because that was not a... that was not a quad last time. Maybe... Oh, I know what the problem is. When we were playing around with these, we must not have set everything correctly back to what it was. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Now it works. We've got the... In the perspective... Okay. So... That's correct. We just need the scaling to be right. And we want it from 0 to 1. So... we should say float width fraction equals what? It's what's the fraction? This should be correct, I believe. And then we'll say negative width fraction, negative width fraction, width fraction. Wait a minute, those are width. We're good. And then this should scale things properly. So that did the opposite of what we wanted, but that means it still works correctly. We just have to flip these. Okay, build that. Yeah, okay, there we go. That looks about right. Okay, so now we have basic UI. Okay, all UI will have an albedo, obviously. No, yeah, we'll do that. And then types, what? We'll have a color type because I'd like to support HSV at some point. But for now, we'll just say float RGB. Default will be white. And then here, all UI will have a color. And then this will just take in what? Uniform just throw color in here. Color. Actually, we would like some slightly transparent UI, so we'll actually just say this is entirely color. And then color type will have an alpha as well. And then that should work. We'll upload vec4. We haven't implemented the vec4 type yet, have we? Okay. So that would be what? No? No, we haven't. And then vec4, gln vec4 vector, 4fv. Okay, that works. Vec4. This will be u color actually, because it's a uniform. We need to keep our naming consistent. There. Build. Why is that black? We should have that being white. The default should be, I'm just stupid. Yep, there we go. And we didn't change color. All right, you know what? The color will literally just be a wrapper class. We'll have a gln vec4 now, and then we'll implement like HSV stuff. The value equals gln vec4. Okay. Some bug somewhere. gln vec4 value, gln vec4 1.0. We should have color.value here. Great work, buddy. Thank you. Sure don't feel like it sometimes, but I appreciate it. Let's see. Color is private in this context. Aren't we in the widget? Oh, yeah. Yep. There we go. Actually, this should just be a struct. No. Okay, my personal rule for structs versus classes, because in C++, structs and classes... only reason I bring this up is because I saw a Coding Jesus video the other day, where it was an interview, and he goes, in C++, what's the difference between structs and classes? And every time I watch Coding Jesus videos, I'm always like, you know, I mean, I probably wouldn't do the best on these interviews. I don't know. I've never tried. But this one I knew. C++ structs and classes work the exact same, but classes are automatically private, structs are automatically public. They're the exact same. The answer that a lot of people will say, if you come from C, structs can't have methods. C doesn't have classes, and there's like structs can only contain member variables, but no functionality inside of them. But in C++, structs can, and literally they're the exact same as a class. They're just public by default. So yeah, but my rule for structs is if they're the exact same, it comes down to just legibility and preference. And because if you're working with C programmers, a lot of times in people's minds, structs just contain member variables, no functionality. I try to not have structs that have member functions. Yeah, I try to not have structs that have methods in them. I like to just keep methods in classes, and if I have some object that has no functionality with it, it's just supposed to store types, that's when I use a struct. And the reason I'm not using a struct for color is because in the future, I want colors to support hexadecimal stuff, and there will need to be methods there. But this should work, actually. Yeah, there we go. Okay, we got a quad. I think one thing that I'm not very happy about is if we're using a transform, default access is different, public and private. But yeah, exactly. I don't like using a transform for UI because that implies that it has, like, it inhabits three-dimensional space. It doesn't. So we will just have a vec2, and we'll call that screen position, and then we'll have a vec2 for scale. And then on the fly, we'll upload all of our position data. I think that would be the play. Although this draw mesh, yeah, we should probably have a new method here. Draw mesh 2D would be the play. draw mesh static void begin draw mesh 2D mesh ampersand mesh shader camera. We don't need a camera, actually. Do we need a camera? Well, we'll keep the camera. And then we'll take in a geom-vec2 reference position, screen position, vec2, screen. We'll just call that scale. And then we'll do all of our other stuff on the fly. And draw mesh 2D. We'll just take in a mesh. And this will behave pretty much the exact same as our draw mesh function. Let's see, void graphics backend begin draw mesh 2D mesh. Yep, that's all correct. And then void graphics backend and draw mesh 2D 2D. And then we'll copy all of this. This will all be the same, but on the fly, we're going to make our own transform stuff. Yes, the ndraw mesh methods will be the exact same, but I mean, I'm not sweating it too much. We won't be uploading that. We won't be uploading that either. And the transform will be made on the fly. So the transform will be transform t equals transform, and then t dot x equals screen position dot x, t dot y equals screen position dot y, t dot dot position dot x dot position dot y, and then dot z will be set to like negative something, because we in here have that, yeah, -1. Dot z equals -1, and then t dot scale dot x equals scale dot x, t dot scale dot y equals scale dot y. And then we'll just say t dot get matrix. That should work off the bat, actually. What the? We included something we shouldn't have. Yeah, that's the problem. Automatically included that. Screen position scale, and then ndraw mesh 2D, and then that should work actually. Yep, and then that's broken off the bat because scale is 0 initially. Equals geom-vec2 1.0, and that should work. There we go. Okay, so now we have basic quads being drawn on screen. Next thing, I want a circle. So the circle will be done with a shader. We'll call this quad UI. Let's see, square, UI square. And then we'll make our UI circle later. UI circle.usl. It'll be the exact same as UI square. We're gonna have to change this back in our, actually, there's an idea. Oh, it just occurred to me. The way we're handling shaders, every object is gonna have a different instance of the same shader. We're gonna need to fix that. At one point, we should just load all of our shaders at one point in the backend, like off the bat, and then you can just access them as needed. That's a good idea. We should do that. We should do that right now, actually, because if I don't fix that, that's going to get out of hand fast. Okay. In the backend, we already have a load resources. Yep, we do have a load resources method. We should make a struct global shaders. And these will just be, this will be a struct containing every possible shader that you can have in this engine. Global shaders. Global shaders. And what's the first? So we got, what kind of shader? We have shader, debug shader, shader flat shader, shader skeleton, shader. Actually, we just call it whatever its name is in GLSL. Shader terrain, shader UI circle, shader UI square. Okay, and then in our load resources method, we're gonna say global shaders equals global shaders, and then dot what? Global shaders dot debug equals create. Yeah, we'll just take that actually. And then we don't need this debug shader anymore. Wherever we were storing that. Let's see, where was that? Oh, this should be inline and static. And then, what is it? Debug shader, we'll remove that. Let's see. Debug, flat, skeletal. What were the other ones? Terrain, UI circle, UI square. And then, let's see. Debug, flat, skeletal, terrain, UI circle, UI square. And then just for safety, we should make this private. Or rather, we should make this constant. We can't make it constant because it's not being initialized on the start of the program. But we don't want to give anyone access to this. I guess we'll just have to take that risk for now. And then, that's frustrating, actually. Okay, well, either way, now, well, people shouldn't be able to just copy that stuff either. Okay, we should have like a get shaders method. And then the get shaders method should just return a like pointer or a reference of some sort. That would be much better. But for now, the aircraft is going to have to be changed. Shader pointer. And then load resources. We should not be loading our own. Oh, I forgot about that. Well, maybe aircraft will have custom shaders. Maybe we'll just keep that as is. But for anyone who wants it, we'll have these global shaders so that we don't reuse shaders that don't need to be reused. And then back here, we'll just say shader equals graphics backend global shaders dot UI circle. This will be a reference. Actually, we should have a switch, and there should be a widget type. Widget type, and then we should have like square, circle, ring. We'll have a ring later on. We don't have it yet, so we should probably remove it. And then at the beginning, we should have a private type, widget type, and then case, shader, sorry, widget type dot widget type circle, case widget type square, and then default will just break. We don't need anything special there. And then for here, that'll be it. And then we'll do UI square. I feel like square should be before circle, personally. Yeah, I think that's a better way to do things. Square, circle, square, circle. Yeah, that's correct. All right, and then on initialize, does this work so far? Ooh, that didn't look like it worked. Yeah, it didn't work. What is it? Shader. Oh. Okay. Dude, get some sleep. Dude, I appreciate it, but it's like noon where I live. It's not exactly the time to sleep. Let's see. I am square in the middle of the day. Yeah, we just can't have a reference that's uninitialized. That's kind of frustrating. This is not the way to do things. We shouldn't. Actually, we don't even need access to this. However, no, this is how we can do this, okay? We're just gonna have a shader type at runtime. We should not be getting access. That's gonna slow things down a little bit. We don't need that. We need some way to reference this. Because these are static, they will be in the same place in memory forever. So we don't need to worry about that. At the same time, that means we have to dereference this. Which this feels gross. I don't think this is the way to do things. But make it work now, make it good later. We already have another error. Debug shader. Where's debug shader coming from? Begin draw mesh. Wait a minute. I think there's a begin draw debug thing here, isn't there? Debug draw cube. We don't have that was a global shaders dot debug. That should fix all our problems. Yeah, there we go. Cannot. I misnamed that. Yeah, that's up at when I'm loading these things. UI circle square, and then the circle will the circle needs to just discard pixels that are a certain radius from the center. Wait a minute. There's a question. Do we just give all UI elements a radius variable, and then that's how you can determine whether something's a square or a circle? You can just adjust the radius. But what if we want rounded corners on squares? In that case, do we want two distinct kinds of widgets? Do we want a square widget and a circle widget? And then that opens the door to like a million different kinds. I don't like that, actually. I think maybe the best play would be have a square shader, have a circle shader. Circle shader will have its own separate uniform radius. And then in here, if type is equal to widget type circle, then we'll optionally upload a radius, uRadius, and this should just be radius. UI will have a public member variable, float radius, and for our beginning purposes, it'll just be 1.f. What else? uRadius, circle, uRadius. And then what is it? Now here's the other part. We have to know what pixel. Wait a minute. We can use UVs. Nice energy. Thanks, man. I try to keep the energy up. This stuff's fun to me. We should be able to just take the location equals 0, p uv, and then we'll leave an out. I remember I got an error with this last time. Like having a location in this older version of GLSL. We're using OpenGL ES for anyone who is curious. And we're almost out of time on the stream. I have like 15 minutes, maybe a little less than that actually, until I do have to get off. So we're gonna quickly get these circles set up, and then PUV equals AUV. All right, and then what we can do is we can say if our current UV coordinate, because UVs will always be from 0 to 1, we need to see if the distance from our current UV to 0.5, that'll be the center. So actually, we can have a constant. Define UV center vec2 0.5. Okay, and then we can say if distance UI center to what? PUV is greater than radius, discard. Or do we just, okay, if we discard, this will be good for debugging. We're gonna not want to actually discard. Because that'll just make the pixel black. Yeah, radius, there's the issue. Radius, float radius equals 1.0. Did we save that? We definitely saved that, I think. It should be. Oh. Stupid mistake. Let's see. Load that. What's the issue here? Did I... That was stupid of me. Sorry about that. I apologize. This should... Yeah, that didn't work. Why? If the distance... Radians. No, radius. U radius. I'm starting to wonder if maybe I should get some sleep after mistakes like that. Okay. And then UI... The radius in this case can be like 0.5. Okay. Wait a minute. Maybe our UVs are wrong. That's another thing I should consider. What was it? We need to see what our UVs look like. Oh, we're also just not a circle. Yeah, that's the other thing. Minor inconvenience there. We need to take in a UI, a widget type, and then we'll just say type, and this should be constant. We don't want to ever change that. Okay. And then in our test scene, that means we also have to say widget type, widget type circle. And then this should make it where we're using the circle shader instead. That should make life just a little bit easier. Oh, no, it didn't. It definitely didn't. That's not good. Let's see. Window width. What was it? We did something here. We set the radius. Maybe it's a distance issue. That could be it, actually. It could just be the distance from every so that is the issue. It is a distance issue. Let's see. Yeah. Maybe there's something wrong with like the floating point value here. Maybe this seems okay. For now, let's actually just say vec4 PUV 1.0 1.0. And this will just show us and make sure all of our UVs are in the right place. Okay, I get it. Just knock it off. Let's see. PUV render. Okay. That's correct. The distance from the UI center to our current UV coordinate is greater than the radius that we're allowing. And our radius here, let's just hard code it, 0.5, because it could just be that we're uploading like some value wrong. If we hard code, yep, that's it. That's the issue. We're hard coding a value somewhere. Rather, it's not being uploaded correctly. Let's see. Are we uploading things correctly here? Uniform float radius, U radius. That's the right variable name, right? Yep, U radius. That's a float. Upload upload shader uniform. That could be it. It could be the upload shader uniform method. Upload uniform float 1f. Maybe it's because of that if statement. If type is equal to circle. Let's make sure we're actually hitting that. Circle. If we're... And by the way, I would have placed a breakpoint there if I knew how in Zen. Oh. Did that work? Yep, that seemed to have done it. And now we can do something kind of cool. Well, in the update method, we'll make this thing change its radius. Let's see. Radius. Radius equals sine. Yeah, we'll take a sine. And sines are from 0 to 1, so yeah, this will work out just fine. Sine time current time. And then I have to import time. Hashtag include IO time HPP. Yep. And that should there we go. We have our circle working properly. Rings will be, I can probably implement rings. What? We have like a little bit of time left. I'll get a ring shader going. Yep. And then ring. And then if type. If our type is ring, UI ring. And you'll see later in development, you'll understand why we need a ring shader. UI ring. Let's see. That should be there. UI ring. UI ring. That should be good. And then the ring shader will be the exact same as the circle shader, except it will also take in a uniform float U thickness. That just sounds strange. I don't like saying that. Uniform float U thickness. It's true. I don't really have much of a choice here. I'll have to upload that too, actually. Float radius. Sorry, float thickness equals. Let's say it's 1.0. That's gonna be a really thick circle. 0.1 f. And then in our test scene, nope, in here, or type is equal to widget type ring. If type is equal to widget type dot ring, that boom, U thickness, thickness. And then in the shader, let's compile that meanwhile. And then in the shader for ring, okay, so how do we want to do this? What if we're within that? Plus thickness. Actually, wait a minute. If our current UV position is greater than our radius plus U thickness, or actually, we should make float distance dist equals this. And then we'll say dist is greater than radius, or dist is less than U radius minus U thickness. Discard. And this should hypothetically give us ring. There we go. We got a ring. I'm just that great. And actually, just to prove that it works, not that I think any of you doubt me. What? 1.0 times, and our max thickness will be 0.1. And this will just make the ring get thicker and smaller. Yep. Of course, the quad will have to scale accordingly. Yeah. We have that now. All done in a fragment shader. That's pretty neat, I'd say. Actually, we could probably make like a check if the radius is... What was it trying to be? The radius is relative to the quad it's inside of. So we could draw a screen space quad every time. I don't want to do that. We can just play around with those values. We don't have to make this a total science. But I am very soon going to have to get off. So for now, we'll upload this. Basic quads, rings, and circles in UI. And commit that, push those two changes. Get push failed. Why'd it fail? Oh, I added a readme yesterday and I didn't pull. Yeah, that's something I need to do. Let's see. How do you... What's the thing to pull in this? Yeah, here. Fetch. We'll pull, and then we'll push again. Push to origin main. There we go. Now it should be all up to date. And then in the off stream, I'm gonna need to figure out why GUI isn't working, because that frustrated me a little bit. And then the other thing I need to figure out, what were the other stream goals? Stream goals for today. We did that. We did not do that yet. So next time, the reason I wanted to get UI done is because this game, if for any of you who don't know, this game is supposed to be a browser-based like fighter jet combat game, where you can like 1v1 your friends in a dogfight. And the controls are supposed to be kind of like War Thunder. But if any of you have played War Thunder, you know that the way you fly that plane around is you move your mouse, and then the mouse, based on how far the mouse is from where your plane is pointing, the plane will always try to follow your mouse. And the UI for that requires that you have like a circle for where your plane is pointing and a circle for where your mouse is. And that'll be, and also lines. We'll have to draw lines. I don't want to draw lines. Anyway, that'll be something we have to do. But basically, I wanted to get basic UI working because now we can draw things according to like mouse position. Yeah. Oh, there was one major issue I need to fix first. We hard-coded something that we shouldn't have hard-coded. What was it? It was in graphics backend. It was in types. Yeah, I don't want that. Maybe we don't do this in camera, actually. There's an idea. There's a brilliant idea. We don't do this in the camera because we're not using a camera for this. We're using a window. So in the window manager, which we can import, we'll have a static glm map for hashtag include glm/glm.hpp, and then primary window dot width. Actually, this will just be primary window dot width, primary window height, and we'll std static. Actually, we only need a static cast one of these. And then that's going to throw some errors because we're getting it from the wrong thing now. Let's see. Cannot have const core. What? All right. Whatever. Yeah, there's our issue. Upload shader uniform map 4. That should be in the back end. Get UI. No, maybe it was in this. Yeah, it was. We should do window manager get UI orthographic matrix because it's in the window manager, and then we should include window. Graphics window.hpp. And this should work. Yep. And that didn't. That's not good. That's very not good. Let's see, 1600.0 and then 1000.0. Maybe this is an issue with this is not good. Why did it work with the camera, but not with that? And then we go back here and we just remove all that. If this works, but the window manager one doesn't, I'm going to be a little... Oh, so it's nothing wrong with our code here. It's everything to do... Uh-oh. Wait a minute. That's not good. Maybe it's in our test scene. That's not good. That's really not good. Something went wrong with our merge. That's not good at all. That's very bad, actually. I've really got to go soon. That's the problem. Okay, so that works. Not. But that works. Maybe there's an issue. This is not good. Maybe there's an issue with the test scene. Maybe that's the issue. Maybe square. Okay, let's try that. This is really not good. Why is everything breaking? There's something seriously wrong with our last commit. What did we do wrong here? Let's see. 30 commits. What did we merge here? That's correct. Okay. Well, I really do have to go soon. All right. Well, I will fix this off stream. But thank you all for tuning in. This was a lot of fun.